We are Rccg Warsaw Youth. Who are we?
Nkenda Christopher Samuel Ndokwaiwo, AD Rccg Youth Program and Nyabado.
你好，我的名字是 Zachariah， 我是从新加坡来的。我们要欢迎你来参加 Rccg 的青年计划，我们想认识你，谢谢。
Halo, ndino zitakuzwa ndiri kuyenda ku Rccg Youth Program.
Antoinette Itue wa Cameroon iko soso na moto te o program wa Rccg Youth.
Orúkọ mi ni Ọlátúndé Samuel, mo wá láti Yorùbá ní orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. Mo fẹ́ sọ fún yín pé kẹ́ wá fún youth program within Christian Church of God. Mo máa wá òní retí ẹ̀yin náà kẹ́ wá Olúwa bùkún ẹ ṣeun.
My name is Jerusalem Tommy. I come out from Sierra Leone. I go for attend the youth program.
Amanya gange bamuta Felix Omuto nambira Uganda ndi mu Poland Warsaw ngenda kubeerayo mu lukuŋŋaana lw'abavubuka bwe bayita youth meeting.
Cześć, mam na imię Milka i chciałabym Was serdecznie zaprosić do wzięcia udziału w programie dla młodzieży w kościele Rccg. Do zobaczenia.
Precious whatever na he ma go tap by the ma go
Eteni ko magir kwa de o malo itu wa malo de mama bijike salon kwa ukieni mawadona malibama a house of two ministries of God in Poland. I say for some boy mani katikate ni mama eti iwe de mayahia wa so lava o sawese wala magetu wa hade kwa riaye wale ba shari ma maba bijino salon wa be o
kabiya we ya te ya
Mare YouTube, Mare Twitter, Mare anything that you have on social media platform. Bye.
Hello everyone, how was your day? I hope you all had a marvelous day at work. And welcome to the second day of the Shining Light program. For those that were here yesterday, they will be able to attest to the fact that they were mightily blessed. I want to assure you today is another of such day. We would have a lot of programs outlined just for your spiritual upliftment, just for you to be blessed. And wherever you are watching this from, I want to advise that you set your expectations, because the scripture says the expectations of the righteous will not be cut short. So wherever you are, try to avoid distractions. Even if you are connecting online, just make sure your heart is there. And I must tell you, you would be blessed beyond every reasonable doubt. Just stay back, enjoy the program, and see you later. Shining Light.
Yes, we're here to worship God, to worship our Father, all alone. Only Him we trust. We're grateful for what you've done in our lives. We're here to praise you. We're here to give you all the glory. Let someone say hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let someone say hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let's go. I have come to give back to you.
To
how you know a person is having a seizure. You just see the person staring blank into space, and you see the person having like involuntary or automatic movements of their body, jerking of the lips or of the eyes, twitching, or full-blown jerking of the entire body. What you do, if the person is standing upright and the person is about to fall, you have to guide the person quickly to gently lay on the floor, and you remove any dangerous objects like boiling water or any sharp objects away from the person. You tell people that are standing around to move back, and you place pads around the person to avoid injuries to the person's body. What you don't want to do is you don't want to constrain the person, you don't want to restrain the person from this jerking movement. Then afterwards, you check the time when the seizure starts, and you place a pillow or a rolled up towel on the person's head, and afterwards you allow this, when the seizure goes down or ceases, you place the person in a recovery position and call your local emergency number.
CPR is basically cardiopulmonary resuscitation, and you perform CPR when a person has collapsed or when a person isn't breathing. So to perform CPR, it's quite easy. All you need to do is follow some steps, and there's a mnemonic to help you remember what to do, which is doctor's ABC. D stands for danger. Make sure you are not in any kind of danger. You or the person involved is not in any kind of danger. Then if it's an accident victim, it will be better off to remove the person from the place of accident, lay the person on a flat floor, and if the person has any tight clothing on, you can remove the clothes. Then we move on to R, which is response. You can shake the person's shoulders for response, or you can ask loudly, are you okay, or are you alright? And if there is no response, then you move on to the next, which is S. You shout for help. At this point, any help will be very, very important. Then you can go to A. A is for airways. To check for the airways, you tilt the head backwards and upwards. Then when you can see the mouth, you check if there is any obstruction. Then you move to B, which is breathing. To check this, you look, you listen, and you feel. You look for chest movements, you listen for normal or abnormal breath sounds, and then you can use your face to feel the person's breath on your face. And if there are abnormal breath sounds or there is no breathing at all, then you can move to C, which is circulation. Normally, circulation is done for us by our heart, but in this case where the heart is not able to do this, then we can move to compressions. We have to perform 30 compressions and give 2 rescue breaths. So to perform compressions, you place the heel of your palm in the middle of the person's chest, place the other hand on top and interlock your fingers. This is for adults. Make sure your arms are straight and your elbows are also interlocked. Then start your compressions. Make sure your compressions are hard and fast. Hard in the sense that it has to be about 5 centimeters deep, and then fast in the sense that you have to give about 2 compressions per second, because if you give less or more, it might not be as efficient as you want it to be. Then if you are comfortable or if you're a trained personnel, then you can give 2 rescue breaths. For this, you have to tilt the person's head upwards, use your hand to raise the chin, pinch the nose, and then give slowly and deep breaths into the person. Then also, to know if this is working, you can check for chest movements. If you don't see any chest movement, there might be an obstruction or you might be doing it wrong. Then if you don't see any chest movement, then you might have to redo this again. Check if there's an obstruction. If there is any, you can remove, and then if the head is tilted wrongly, you can tilt it back and then start the breaths again. Then in case of children older than 1 and adolescents, you use just one hand, use the heel of one hand to perform the CPR. The same 30 compressions and 2 rescue breaths. In the case of infants, you use 2 fingers from one hand to perform these compressions, but it's still the same as 30 compressions and 2 rescue breaths. Sometimes we have D, which is defibrillation. In some recreational centers and in some sports areas and in some restaurants, we have AEDs, which are automatic external defibrillators. These are quite easy to use. they basically do the compressions themselves, and it's even easier because you have to set it up and everything is written there, and it will help you to even set it up itself. Then you need to perform, if there are no defibrillators, you need to perform this CPR until the person regains his consciousness, or until the person starts breathing normally, or until professional help comes. In case you get tired, you can call for help for another person to help you to start the compressions, but you shouldn't stop.
Assess the situation. If the person can still cough, then you encourage the person to keep coughing. If the person cannot cough, you have to act quickly. So what you want to do is you have to check the person's airways, and if you see any obstruction, you can see it in the person's mouth, you do a sweeping motion with your finger and to clear off this obstruction. If the person still has something lodged in their airways, you go behind the person, you lean the person forward on one hand, and with the other hand, with the heel of your palm, you perform 5 blows to the back between the person's shoulder blade. This is done for an adult and children, but for an infant, you have to place the baby's face down on one arm, supporting their head with your hand, and you use the heel of your palm as well, and perform 5 back blows between the shoulder blades. But prior to this, you have to call your local ambulance. For adults or for children, you go behind the person as well. You clench one fist. You make a fist, and then with the other hand in front of the person, you place your hand between the navel of the person and between the lower part of the breastbone, and make sharp and quick upward and inward movements 5 times until the obstruction is cleared or until professional help comes. For children, you place the baby to face forward, and you support the baby's head as well. You use one hand, 2 fingers, and place beneath the lower part of the breastbone, the baby's breastbone, and make 5 chest thrusts. And you also perform this until help comes or until the obstruction clears. Do not stop until the obstruction clears. Thank you.
Well, what actually happens in your hair is that a lot of sebums and oils get trapped in your hair, so that makes the hair really greasy and quite heavy. So how to prevent that is by washing and shampooing your hair thoroughly and conditioning after. We wash our hair by massaging the scalp with shampoo about 3 times. So you rinse it out then with water till the color of the water goes clear. Then you condition your hair. After that, you dry your hair with a towel, and make sure to then put in moisture back into your hair with hair creams and hair lotions. So another major thing to remember is to prevent lice. So you do this by not sharing brushes, not sharing combs, and maintaining a distance. Yeah, exactly.
We can care for our face by washing our face twice in the morning and also at night. And we also can care for our face by making use of moisturizers after washing our face. And it's also important for us to make use of sunscreen. And for the ladies, it's important for us to note that after applying our makeup, at the end of the day, we should make use of wipes to clean our
makeup.
Yes. It's important for us to clean our makeup with wipes, and also it's important for us to keep personal hygienes and like changing our bed linens and making sure our place we sleep, where we basically place our faces, are kept clean.
So change like pillowcases.
Yes.
I think that you can also use silk spreads and silk pillowcases as well. So that would definitely be acne and body odor.
Yeah.
So in terms of preventing acne.
In terms of preventing acne, like I said earlier on, wash our face regularly. Make use of different face towel to clean our face. You don't use the same towel you use to clean your body to clean your face. And making sure we keep our hands away from our face, because hygiene, like we're talking about, is very important. So when you're touching things around and you're still taking our hands back to our face, it causes acne. And it's also important, like I think many of us might not know this, but we can make use of warm water to wash our face. This is going to help to open the pores in our face also.
Yeah. And I would say that after you do open your pores, make sure you do close your pores back with using cold water. Okay, so the thing with body odor is actually caused by bacteria on the skin. So in order how to basically treat that is using medicated soaps, so antiseptics and all of that. So basically shower with that and rinse with water. Dry yourself with a clean towel, and then afterwards you moisturize. Use deodorants, antiperspirants and perfumes as well in order to smell nice and smell fresh. And make sure to change your clothes daily. Like, don't repeat clothes that are smelling off, obviously change them.
Like we know, the teeth has 5 surfaces: the top, the side, the front and the back. So it's important for us to wash this part of our teeth, and in doing this we can wash our teeth 2 times daily, when we wake up in the morning and also at night after our last meal. It's important for us to brush at least 2 to 4 minutes, yes, every time. And it's also important for us to use floss, because we can't, the toothbrush can't get into those parts of the teeth.
Yeah, the sides.
So yes, so the floss helps us to get to the side of the teeth. And it's also important for us to make use of toothpaste that has fluoride to help washing our teeth. And very, very important thing for us to do is to wash our tongues, because the tongue is where most of the bacteria are being stored in our mouth. So this can cause mouth odor and everything. So it's very important we spend time washing our tongue.
Well, with the ears, you have to remember to scrub your ears, or wash your ears rather, whilst you're in the shower. The back of your ears, make sure to always wash them. Now, medically speaking, they do tell us not to put anything into our ears in order to clear the earwax, but there are some specific things like solutions you can actually use in order to clear the wax. For example, that would be hydrogen peroxide, or some oils specific for earwax.
To care for our nails, we can care for our nails by trimming it down. And when we are trimming down our nails, we should make sure we don't trim to the skin level, making sure the skin surface is still safe. And it's important to also file our nails and basically just file the rough surfaces of our nails also, and clean out every dead part of our nails too.
So with your feet, make sure whilst you're in the shower that you wash your feet. Make sure to wash in between your toes. Do not do it too vigorously. Make sure just something soft, little scrubbing here and there. Also, they do sell some foot scrubs that you can use to scrub your foot, the back of your foot and so on. And definitely moisturize. Give your foot some tender loving care.
And it's important for us to change our socks regularly. Don't repeat socks, and if you have to, wash it before you have to wear it back. So just keep good hygiene to your legs. So it's also part of your body. So take care of your legs.
And make sure it's dry. Damp socks are bad for your feet.
Everybody put your one hand up. If you don't say you don't know the feeling. I'm a winner. Put your one hand up. If you don't say you cannot stop. I'm a winner. Doesn't matter what. in the name of Jesus. God is there, my side. He will never leave us. I'm an overcomer, and I don't know defeat. Everything I do, everywhere I go, everything I say, I just the winner. I'm moving forward, I'm moving right. In the name of Jesus, I just the winner. I win, I win, Jesus in me, and I know I am more than a conqueror. 'Cause the greater one lives in me. I am the champion. I am the champion. Money beat. Yeah, boy. Let's go. Testimony said. 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 I needed a house, you give it to me. I needed a car, you give it to me. Anything I want, you they give up to me. So everything I am, they give it to me. I know we'll try to ever jeopardize. Everything you give me, I will bring them back. I said I won't try to ever jeopardize. I'm gonna bring to you, I'm gonna bring to you my everything. My testimony said, 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 testimony said. They're doing you wrong, but you're still blessing me. My friends and my family, they give up on me. You give me a chance, now they all chasing me. Papa, you too good, I always will give you my testimonies. Testimonies, testimonies, testimonies. I know we'll try to ever jeopardize. Everything you give me, I will bring them back. I said I won't try to ever jeopardize. I'm giving to you my everything I do.
Hello, my name is Folemi Godswill, and I'll be speaking to you today on the requirements for establishing your own company here in Poland. Is it possible? What do you need to do? Where do you need to go? How should you go about it? And I would like to appreciate the youth of the Rccg Warsaw Poland for putting this all together. And I want to believe that at the end of everything, you will be able to get one or two things that will be useful in your endeavor, that will be useful to you, basically. Okay, so like I said earlier, my name is Folemi Godswill Oko. I am a lecturer in the University of Vistula, and I also have my companies in Poland. I run a language school in Piaseczno, and I also have an events planning and consult company. So talking to you about having your own company. Is it possible as a foreigner? It is possible. Is it difficult? No, it's not difficult. It's actually very easy. You just have to know what you need to do, the right documents that's needed at every time, and which office you need to go. And please be open to the language. Then you're able to get to the offices and help yourselves. Okay, let's start. Okay, first thing first, let's take, for instance, you want to open a limited liability company. One thing you should know is there is no form of restriction. The same law that guides the Polish guides you. The same law that guides the locals guides you. So there is no limitation just because you're a foreigner. In as much as you have a legal stay here in Poland, I would also probably be mentioning a few of the things that you should put into consideration. But in as much as you have a legal stay here in Poland, you have the right to run your own company. There are different types of companies you can run. For instance, you could have a civil company, you can have a partnership, a company, for instance, a limited liability company, a joint stock, or even a fractional partnership company. You can have a shared partnership, shared capital company, and for instance, your limited liability or shareholding company. Why should you even think of opening a company in Poland? Now, Poland is one of the countries in Europe that has had a constant increase in GDP over the years. And even when there are crises, people that have been here, for instance, during the pandemic, you would know that we came together pretty fast. And unlike so many other countries that practically almost fell apart, but it's easy to establish your company here, and the policy, the economic policy, is stable. Politically is stable. It's a good place to start. It's a good place to stay. And then for the fact that, like I mentioned earlier, the fact that there's no restriction because you are Polish or you earn Polish, or because you earn you don't have the permanent stay, makes it easy for you. It doesn't matter. The same taxation goes for all of you, depending on the type of company you intend to run. Okay. So, for instance, let's take the limited liability company as our case study, and let's look at the step-by-step, the process. First thing, get your resident permit. Make sure that you at least, because at every point you would have to write, okay, you have a legal stay when you're filling the documents, because documentation is important. If you know the Polish offices very well, you know that we love documents. We enjoy it. We like the paperwork. So please get your documentations right before you even start. So first thing is your resident permit. And then you need to fill and deliver your documents at the CEIDG. So when you go online, you need to fill this CEIDG1 form. And what do you need to fill this form? You need your ID number, your passport number. you need to have a like a registered address for the company. It could be the house you live. It could be the house you're registered in. For instance, you have a flat you're living in, and you have Zameldovania. That means you're registered for this house. You could use it. But please let the owner of the house know. If it is your house, then very good. Then you could just go ahead and use it. Use the part of one room in your house or the entire flat. It all depends on you and on the type of company you want to run. Then you also need the PKD code. How do you get the PKD code? You need to go to the pkd.com.pl and fill the right form. I think it's also PKD. It depends because, okay, first, how do you get even the PKD code that fits your company? When you go into the pkd.com.pl, you put in the company that you are planning to run, then the code for this type of company comes for you. So you get a PKD code, and then you fill in your form, you submit with your code and everything, and you send it to send it for approval. It takes about 14 days or thereabout for this to be for this to be approved, for your company to be approved. In the course of this, you can begin to work. However, remember that you also need, for a company to run properly, you need a REGON, you need a NIP. You need to get a company stamp because you cannot possibly stamp. Your document is not considered valid without a stamp. Even though it's signed, it's considered valid when it is stamped. So endeavor to get a company stamp. You can get the, also, you need to visit the tax office. Now, the tax office, you need to get there your NIP. So you should go for the NIP 1 form. And when you fill this form, you submit. This is quite important, but even more important is the social insurance of office that you need to visit. That's the ZUS office. The problem with the ZUS office is you have numerous, like tons of documents, forms to fill. And if you are not so comfortable with your Polish, please go with a Polish friend or go with a lawyer or go with someone that can help you out with the language situations, because most of the times in the offices, the ladies don't speak English, and even if they do, they won't speak to you in Polish. So endeavor to prepare before you go to the office for this. Basically, however, so I know I ran through this quite short. I believe that if you have more questions, of course, I'll be much so ready to help you, of course, through the youth leaders. Nonetheless, there are some people who do not want to go through all this process of from one office to the other, or maybe at the beginning, and because of the payments you have to make an order, maybe at the beginning you don't feel so strong to go through all this process, and maybe you're also worried about your level of Polish, and you want to own a company, but there's some barriers, maybe because of the steps you have to follow, maybe because of the language, whichever reason it is. You can also go through the startup companies. There are, I know too, I'm sure there might be more. There should be more, because of course the market is not a monopoly one. So there are 2 startup companies that I can particularly recommend to you because I worked with them anyway. And one of them is actually called Startup. It's on Żurawia Street in Warsaw. And then the other one is right there on Noviziast and in Old Town. And this is actually owned by a friend of mine, Jagosh, and it is it's called Firma dla Każdego. And of course, any of them would work good to help you establish or start small. And from them, you can gain your ground, or when you've gained your ground and you're comfortable, then you can now move on and establish your thing on your own. Also, with startups, you can also, while you're waiting, whilst you're still waiting for your resident permit, and you feel so pressed that, okay, you don't know when it's going to come out, you really want to start something for yourself, you can consult with the startup companies. You can start with them. Once they know that, they will confirm that actually you're legal and you're just simply waiting for your residence. And you can start with them. They will also be glad to help you with your residency if you have any challenges and all that. And when you start with them, you only have to pay them their monthly rates. And unlike when you have, when you're running the business on your own, the tax isn't so much. It's about 19% if you're running a limited liability company. Nonetheless, if you're working with the startup companies, there is something called a toll scheme. And this is like the an author's work. So when you present an author's scheme at the end of the month, your tax is almost close to nothing. So, and they will help you through this. You don't have to think about the government offices or the tax office or all that. The office does, the startup companies do everything for you, and you just have to pay them the monthly rate, and of course pay your VAT and whatever can be your taxes also, and everything will be fine. So whichever way you choose, either you decide to stand on your own from the beginning, which is great and courageous, or you decide to go through the startup company, there is no form of restriction whatsoever. If you can conceive the idea, you can make it work. If it is there, then it is there. And just so you know, if you have such possibility of something you can create by yourself, why depend only on your salary? Why depend only on your monthly earnings? You can do something for yourself, no matter how small it is. You can start something up for yourself. And so I would really advise, this is a very good thing coming to you. And I would advise that you seize this opportunity. Thank you very much, everyone. And I hope I've been able to say one or two things that have been helpful to you. And God bless you all. Thank you.
Hello there. I hope you enjoyed that session. It was wonderful. I was richly blessed. I trust you were blessed too. So we go again tomorrow at exactly the same time, 6 p.m. Central European Time. You can join us on our Facebook page, Rccg Warsaw, and our YouTube page, Rccg House of Truth. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Do join us. Stay tuned. Stay blessed.
When the mountains shake, I put my trust in Jesus. The moment I awake, and when my soul